I'd say really if you're coming from an audio perspective, really you can't get away from Pro Tools, especially if you're working in any professional studios. They're all still very much Pro Tools based. Yes, you're going to find potentially other DAWs in there, but you still can't get away from Pro Tools. What's good about a lot of programs and DAWs nowadays is they do offer a kind of different tiers of getting into them. So with Pro Tools, you've got Pro Tools First, which is their free tier. So if you really want to get to grips with how Pro Tools kind of functions and the routing within it, then definitely download that, have a little play about, and then so you kind of know what to expect if you're going into a studio. I mean, you won't kind of get that issue with having to deal with the DAW itself, because if you are hiring a studio, you're going to be having a studio person on hand anyway, who is going to be the person at the computer. But for in terms of a perspective that I've used, the two programs that I'm most comfortable using are Cubase, which is great for film, music, and tracking, and tempo mapping on that is great. I've used it multiple times. It's got, depending, I believe that's on different levels as well. So depending on what level you buy, you've got various plugins you can use with it. And also it's got similar time stretching algorithm to how Pro Tools is. And it's also cheaper. And I also believe there's this little incentive that Cubase has that if you've already got another DAW, they've got a discount DAW switching thing that you can actually pay for a permanent license. I don't know if it's still active, but last time I looked a while ago, they did have that thing. You just have to prove that you own another copy of another product. But so Cubase is one. Another one is FL Studio, as Johnny mentioned. So in the past, FL Studio has been fairly rigid with the way that it works. You know, it's very much oriented to hip hop and EDM producers, but it's become a lot more open in recent updates. So it's now currently on FL Studio 25. And so it used to be that you could only do 125 channels of routing, and mapping of different things, but it's now gone up to 500. And so you can easily create busing and all kinds of different setups. And in similar, because the way Reaper works is you've got usually a matrix of inputs and outputs, and that's where the learning curve for that really gets quite steep. But that's where it's most similar to Pro Tools in the sense that, as you mentioned, Johnny, about the ARIA plugins, I suppose the closest thing I could think of to that for Reaper is the script things. There's a lot of, because Reaper is very accessible, there's a community behind it that have written scripts that you can use it. And there's for example, there's a program called Vocaline, which is used quite a bit in voice production. And within Pro Tools, it's very much a click 2 tracks and just go a line, and it's really quick. Whereas trying to do that in FL Studio, you've got to record them into Vocaline and then press the button. Whereas I know there's a kind of free script that does a similar thing in Reaper. So it's definitely, don't put Reaper in the bin. It's definitely a thing to look at.
May I just add something to,
go on,
to your scripts there? So in Reaper, as an example, one of the scripts I've used as an orchestrator are for transposing instruments. So you can have it just set that if you're playing in a horn line, you can read it on the page, automatically transpose down a fifth. You don't have to worry about it. And that's great for beginners who might be trying to recreate Holst just to get the template started.
And and this obviously will be something to go on in the future, but I've seen it used from a contact perspective for sound designers, people that want to sample an instrument. It's been brilliant for that. I've watched, there's multiple tutorials. I mean, this applies to every DAW. There's so many different people using these programs. There's numerous tutorials that will cover most of the bases when it comes to Pro Tools, Cubase, Logic, even Reaper. And so it's invaluable. So whenever you start with the DAW, I think that's, if you, like everyone else said, choose one and really go into that and make sure that you know it really well before trying to jump around. And use YouTube, use all the tools you have to get you started. There are, even the companies themselves provide getting started things.